How can we improve monitoring for CVA? What are your top monitoring tips?
After you start the distribution of cash for the beneficiaries, after the 1 month or even 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you need to start the post-distribution monitoring. In that post-distribution monitoring form, you need to know how the beneficiaries they utilize the cash or the item you give out to them through the vouchers, or maybe after the work was done, if you provide them with some cash, you need to know how this money was utilized by the household. After collecting the monitoring or the assessment form, you will come and analyze, and the analysis will tell you that based on the baseline survey report which was conducted before the implementation of the program, you will find out here that what we are doing, it is covering the actual need which was identified or captured during the baseline report. But if the finding here is telling us different things based on the experience the beneficiaries got during the project implementation, this is where now the finding will show us that what was reflected in the baseline survey, it is not captured in this post-monitoring distribution report finding because of 1, 2, 3.
When we do monitoring of cash for work, we have hotline numbers whereby the beneficiary can reach out to us, where there's maybe if he or she has queries on cash for work or cash voucher assistance programming. And then we have also a call center. That call center they report through that call center.
So firstly, I think for the monitoring of cash and voucher programming is not very different than any other kind of programming that we do in humanitarian response. But where we need to keep a little bit kind of our focus is that cash and voucher programming includes like a coordination even internally within an organization between like interdisciplinary teams, like let's say logistics, finance, programs, program management, and IT, and others. So having that clear roles and responsibilities of who is doing what, I think is very important, and that is where it becomes easy for us to monitor the activities and which stage we are in the cash and voucher programming. And the other thing that I believe is important is like obviously having a kind of a holistic monitoring framework, which definitely gives us like what is the monitoring steps, what is its purposes, the timeline, where everybody is on the same page, which everybody can follow. And definitely, as I said earlier, also like who is responsible for what. So I think that is important as well while going through the monitoring cash and voucher.
Yeah, to improve monitoring for cash and voucher assistance, we need to have a comparative tool that is unified, that can able to capture all the aspect of protection, aspect of social behavior in the community, aspects of the family dynamics in terms of resource utilization, and maybe like aspect of complaint and feedback. So what I'm trying to say is we should have a unified document. That's one. Two, we should be able to share lessons learned and use the lessons learned for the next upcoming activities or intervention that will happen under CVI. And then thirdly, we should also share. Okay, we should get support from a broad community that is working on the cash and voucher assistance to come and support South Sudan partners in sharing the practice that are supposed to be happening. And then the other one that I'll be able to say is the involvement of complaint and feedback the community in doing this. If we involve the community in monitoring, we could have come up with the understanding of how this cash and vouchers assistance will also affect them socially. And then the last one that I can able to say is the internal policy. We could be able to see that partners should have a department of MIL or monitoring team that could particularly deal with the monitoring. Not necessarily that we need to borrow people maybe from program to go and do monitoring, but otherwise we need to have specialized team that will be independent in doing the monitoring and cash and voucher assistance.
So first of all, as CVA contributes to multi-sectoral needs, thus a specific monitoring tool should be developed with multi-sectors outcome indicators. This will of course help in not duplicating the efforts across sectors. The second tip or the second advice, we will say that the CVA monitoring tool should consider how beneficiaries utilized their cash or voucher to understand what are the beneficiaries' demands and what is the market capacity, and is the market capacity still sufficient to cover the needs. The third tip is basically gender questions should of course be considered while monitoring CVA. For example, asking in the tool, asking who was responsible to exchange the cash or the voucher. Is the male-headed households or the female-headed households? This, of course, will help better understanding the gender dynamics in the served communities or context. CVA monitoring tools should also consider the beneficiary satisfactory questions to understand if the provided assistance or the provided value was sufficient or not, or should the humanitarian agency revisit the distributed value that has been provided to the affected people.
My main tips here would be focus on process and focus on outcomes. For outcomes, I would really encourage you to look at the Grand Bargain Cash Work Streams multipurpose cash outcome indicators. You can find those at tinyurl.com/MPC indicators. Also for process, right? Were the right people selected? Did they get the right amount of money? Did they get it at the right time? Was it the right mechanism for them to receive the money? And were they treated right during it?